Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Tammy of the Siberian Wind, and if you didn't follow me earlier, you have a big game day to go back and rewatch. So welcome. This is After Sunset Sunday. So I see Chloe and Nanette already in the chat. Thank you ladies for being here. I appreciate it. We're gonna bind. I forgot that I told everybody I was going to work on Gnome Sweet Gnome and started telling everybody we were going to work on binding. So we're going to work on binding because I've already decided that. Hi, Pat, welcome in. Welcome. All right. So I know Chloe remembers this one. This is a very old quilt, um, so to speak, in relative terms. It is a very old quilt. I started this in 2011, I think it was 2011, and it was one of the first quilts I designed, and I was teaching people in person how to put this quilt together. And at some point during the block of the month that I was doing, because this was a block of the month, the store closed. Yes, Chloe, I knew you would. She's like, yes, I do remember. So the store closed, and then I had all but maybe 4 of these blocks assembled. Like I didn't have all of them assembled. I cut what I cut, and I still had some of the information about what they were supposed to turn out like. But not all the blocks came out the right size. So I set them in, and as you see this Dresden plate, or not Dresden plate, Drunkard's Path down here, it's set in wonky. Which other ones? I set this one in there wonky intentionally. But all of them have something added to them. This block right there has a lot added to it because it wasn't big enough for all the blocks to be the same size. And if I cut one of the blocks, I was going to have to cut all of the blocks. And one of them I couldn't cut. I don't remember what the deal was, but one of the blocks that was fine on size, I couldn't cut it because it just was not going to be working. Hey, Kathy, so good to see you. How are you doing, lady? Yes, right? She's like, hello, Tammy. How are you? All right, and Nightbot is still not cooperating, so let me go fix something in Nightbot real quick. If I can. I was not able to fix it earlier, so we are going to see if I can just cancel the timer because Nightbot is completely messing it up. And I am going to drop a link. Let's see, copy to clipboard, and we are going to paste that into the chat and pin it up to the top. Hey Gladys, good to see you. So if you are wanting to join the MeWe group, there is going to be a link up at the top of the chat, so you can click over and join it there. It's going to work same thing as the Facebook group. So if you want to submit your show and tell on a social media platform that is not Facebook, doesn't have all of the ads, doesn't have all of the extra stuff you find on Facebook, then you can join it on MeWe. Hey Cynthia, welcome in. She says she's going to be in and out tonight, hoping to catch as much as she can. Absolutely. So I was supposed to be working on Gnome Sweet Gnome, but we're not working on that because I completely forgot. Next Sunday, Sean from The Guy Who Sews is going to be here. So I will be working on a project with him. I might pull out Gnome Sweet Gnome for that, but I think I want to work on the other project that I need to, the Skylight project with him. So I will pick Gnome Sweet Gnome back up. Hey Susie, I will pick Gnome Sweet Gnome back up at the end of February. So the last Sunday of February will be Gnome Sweet Gnome Day, and then we'll discuss what I'm going to do going forward, because we're also going to be picking up Route 66 in March, and I want to give proper time to every project. So every project may have its own day each month. That might be how I do it. We'll see. But yeah, we're going to do it. Editing a video at the moment, so I'll be hopping off as soon as I can get it uploaded. Absolutely, Kathy. I totally understand. I have some video editing to do as well, and it's going to have to wait until Tuesday because I am not home tomorrow during the day, and my neighbors will be home by the time I am. It's been the thing. It's been the thing today. So I have this fabric left over from the back of this quilt. So you guys can kind of see the back of this quilt a little bit. I do have some threads to trim off this quilt. Actually, I'm going to just go ahead and cut that right now because it's going to bother me now that I actually have my hands on it. But I don't have that much to do on this quilt to like trim it up. It's already been like trimmed, but just like the loose threads or whatever. I have not completely done all that. So this will get the three quilts on my, or three quilts that I've quilted recently off my plate because they will all be bound. And I'm not worried about whether this is a top, bottom, whatever. I'm just going to leave myself a tail, a decent sized tail, and we'll work with that. Great backing and will make a great bind. It will. Now it is not bias. So none of the three quilts that I've bound recently have been bias, which is unusual for me. So it is what it is. It is. So my binding is 2.5, I believe. Do I have a ruler? I don't particularly like this one as a ruler, but it is coming out not quite 1 1/4. It's like 1 1/8. So it might actually be 2 1/4. But that's okay. What I do with my binding, in case you guys have not figured this out yet, I do it in batches. So the other two quilts, the binding is already attached to the front. And that's what I always do is I attach to the front and then I flip it to the back and then sew it from the front again. But I do it in batches. So this first batch of everything, I am sewing it to the front. And then I can sit and in the comfort of my chair with my feet up, I can clip the binding to the back. And then I can come out here and sew it through in batches. So like I don't have to wait, or I don't have to do one quilt at a time. I can, clip all three quilts, come out here, and then go ahead and sew all three quilts. And I'm good to go. Like I don't have to worry about it. That is the way that I do my binding. So who all does bias? Who all in the chat does bias for their binding? Or do you do flat? Or do you do a mixture? Like, do you do half flat and half bias? What kind of binding do you use on your quilts? What kind of binding do you use? And why do you use that kind of binding? This might mess with my camera a little bit, so I apologize. Because my camera is right in front of where this quilt is going off the edge of my thing. Everybody saying hello to everybody. Y'all are so sweet. I love you guys for that. Y'all are awesome. So, what kind of binding do you guys use? Chloe says she uses flat binding. All right. Now, is there a reason that you use that binding over bias? Let's see. Are you doing 1/4 inch seam? Yes, I am. Yeah, it is a 1/4 inch seam. I actually have my number 57 foot on, the one with the guide on it. So I don't have to think too hard. Because 3 hours earlier and just a short break, I'm a little tired. I do what I think is necessary to get the look I want, says Nanette. That's a good choice. That's a good choice. I normally do bias. And I apologize for the squeaky. He has just decided that it is time to play. How wide of a stitch do you do to sew again? So this is a 1/4 inch that I'm attaching it down with. And I'm only doing like a 2 point whatever is my normal stitch length. But I attach it originally with a 1/4 inch. When I flip it to the back, once I get to the end of this, I'll show you guys what I do. Because I use my Wonder clips, my little magic clips, whatever they are. Okay. looking for where they are. I got a jar right here. Good deal. Good deal. I got a jar. So I'll be able to show you guys. Just if I forget for any reason, ask me again and I will re-show exactly what I do when I flip it. Just because it seems easier, I'm sure I could do bias if I wanted to. Okay, that's fair. That's a good reason. That's a good reason. The reason that I typically do bias is because it offers more strength. Because if you think about it, with flat binding, you're putting one thread, basically the length of your quilt, and if it gets snagged or pulled or tugged on too much, or something sharp hits it, you could have that whole binding falling apart. Kind of like that old blanket binding, the satiny blanket binding that we all had, back in the 80s and 90s. That satin blanket binding just destroys itself. Like, it just shreds. You get it torn or whatever, and it just disintegrates on you. So flat binding can do that too. So I don't like it for that reason. All right, so here I am with this. Let me see if it will let me zoom in some. We'll go ahead and do this real quick. So yes, I can zoom in. Ha ha ha, there we go. Yay, modern technology. Okay, so this is my binding and I am attaching it to the front. Now I haven't pressed my binding, so it doesn't have a clean, crisp edge, but that's okay. And let me take one of these that's going to show up. We're going to go with purple because it's a different color than all the rest of this. It's not that strong, but it's a little bit. Hey, Tina, welcome in. She turned on her 301 for the very second time. I learned to sew seam with it for an old girl. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad she's working beautifully for you. That's amazing. The satin binding on a baby quilt was not fun. No, it was not. Chloe says she loves satin binding. I love it too, but it falls apart. I can't do the falling apart part. I want it to be, once I make it, I want it to stay made. All right. So looking at the magic or the Wonder Clip, okay, I'm holding it upside down. So the purple side is up against my fingers and this flat back side is pointed up, okay? At the end of the flat back side, down here, you can kind of see it in the camera. There's little dots there. And if you open the clip up, you're really going to feel those dots. Let's see. Hey, it likes me. There we go. So you see those dots there, okay? So the front of the clip, the top of the clip, clips directly in where those dots are, okay? So that's exactly where it clips. So what I do when I am filling my binding in here, the flat piece is on the back side because I'm going to be sewing it from the front. And the color piece up here is coming across the top. I make sure that my binding on the front, that the little ridge that clamps down to that back side, I make sure that that ridge is sitting on my quilt, not on my binding. So the color side is going to be sitting on the quilt, not sitting on the binding. The clear side is going to be sitting on my binding on the back. So what it's going to look like, I'm going to fold my binding over and I'm going to tuck it in place. And so what you're going to see, oh yeah, that's plenty. I got plenty of room with this one. Let me move it to a section that's a little bit easier to see because of the colors. There we go. That one's a little bit easier to see and I got plenty. So, oh, the lid, sorry. All right, so this front side, if you can see, my Wonder Clip on the front side is clipped to, yes, this is a 2 1/4 inch binding. This one is. Sometimes I usually do 2 1/2, but 2 1/4 usually fits too. If it's a very thick quilt, I absolutely do 2 1/2. But so my Wonder Clip clips, or Magic Clip, I don't know what they're supposed to be called, Magic or Wonder, either way. But my clip on the front side, the color piece, comes down onto my quilt. It is not clipped onto the binding on the front, okay? On the back side though, And you can adjust this to your comfort level. But on the back side, I make sure that my binding at least comes to the edge of this clip. Now my binding actually sticks over a little bit, so I've got plenty of give room. So if I wanted to adjust it, I would just open that clip up a little bit and adjust it. I want to make sure that my binding goes at least to the edge of that clip. Because what you're going to do when you stitch this down, you're going to stitch right in this ditch, right here, right in that groove edge. And you can use like a guide foot to help you do that. But you stitch right in that groove edge of where the binding meets the quilt. And so you're stitching into the quilt on the front, and you can see that because that's where the clip is. And then on the back, you are absolutely catching that binding. And the straighter you have this between clips, the easier it becomes. It's easier to overuse the clips than it is to go back and fix it later. Now, if I have problems later and it feels like I didn't catch the back, then what I will do is I will back stitch out, or I will unstitch that little one. Yes, I sure do, Nanette. She says, do you do the same for show quilts? I absolutely do. I do not hand bind even my show quilts. The only time I will ever hand bind is when I feel for whatever reason that that quilt needs that extra touch. But most of the time, hand binding is for the birds for me because I don't enjoy spending that much time on one particular part of a process. I would rather spend time ironing and pressing and doing all of these other things. I don't enjoy doing that with binding. Now I will stitch the quilt label on by hand. And if you have a quilt label, you can actually stitch that in while you're stitching this down. So pin that quilt label to the back of wherever you're going to go. Make sure that that's the first corner you stitch. It's so much easier when it's the first corner you stitch. But I pin the quilt, if I'm going to put a quilt label on there and I already have it ready, which I don't have any of these quilt labels ready, but if you already have that quilt label ready to stitch in, I stitch it in right now. I don't wait until later. I stitch the two corners in as I'm doing this part. And so all I have to do after I stitch that binding down on the opposite side, all I have left after that is to hand stitch two sides of my quilt label. If you're using a square or rectangular one, you'll have two sides left. If you were doing a triangular quilt label, that's the fantastic thing. Oh, of course, I don't have any fabric handy that's the right size of what I would need. But if you were going to do a triangular quilt label, let's say you're just going to write on there, you can take a square, fold it in half, press it, do your quilt label on the triangle piece, and then all you have once it's stitched in place is to hand stitch that triangle piece down. It's amazing. Hey, Zaza, she says she loves hand sewing binding. She does triangle labels in the corner when she's sewing the binding on. See, there you go. Triangle binding is fantastic. Quilts of Valor, though, they give you, like when I ordered labels for Quilts of Valor, they're all rectangles. They're all standard rectangles. So there's two sides. Kind of like the two sides to every story, you know? Fold square diagonally, yes. Yeah, that is how I do some quilt labels. If I had quilt labels prepped for these, I totally would. With as long as I haven't had a quilt on the frame, I should have pulled beauty off and embroidered a couple labels. So I just go ahead and have them. That would make things so much easier. But did I do that? No, I did not. Nanette says she does the triangle labels also, and Chloe says she's done that. Yeah, I love the triangle labels because you're only hand stitching one side. Now, another technique that I use for labels, this is a real cheater's technique. Real cheater's technique. But I have never had a complaint from anybody that I did this for. What I do for my cheater labels, my super cheater labels, is let's say I've embroidered a quilt label. I piece it into the back. So when it gets quilted, it is quilted into the back of the quilt. And does it have to be centered? No, not really. I make sure I don't worry about that. Zaza says she just uses the alphabet stitches on her sewing machine to make her labels. This machine, Ricky, doesn't have any alphabet labels or alphabet letters. I don't think. No, I do not have any alphabets on this machine. So it would still have to be Beauty either way. And Beauty's up on the quilt frame, and it is a pain to get her off that frame and put her back on. It is absolute pain. So, I mean, the only other option other than getting another machine to put on the frame is to get another standalone embroidery machine. And I still don't have that in the budget either. It's just crazy how expensive all this stuff is, guys. Just crazy. And I mean, people rent out long arms, but they don't rent out embroidery machines. Not that I've seen. So it is what it is. It's life. It is definitely life. So so on 2 of Mr. Siberian Wind's quilts, the labels are in the center of the back. I've heard of people doing that. It makes it harder for someone to remove the label. Oh yeah, it makes it basically impossible. So on the back of, let's see, on the back of his Quilt of Valor, I think I did, no, I pieced that one. I did piece that one. I pieced that one into the middle. I had some red fabric, and I pieced that into the middle of the minky in the back of the quilt. And so we had to center that one a little bit. That one needed to be centered. But another quilt that I did for him, I think I hand stitched that one down, but I hand stitched it in the middle of the quilt. But if I had known exactly what I wanted to do with it when I had it quilted, I totally would have pieced it into the back. I would have done that before I sent it to the long arm because I paid for that one to be quilted. So yeah, the label on his Quilt of Valor, that's not going anywhere. You have to take that quilt apart to get that label off. And that I did that intentionally because I know sometimes family doesn't respect, what all work went into something. So I wanted that one to for sure have that legacy going with it. And I haven't done it too often otherwise. I've done it for some client quilts when they've asked me. Like I've asked them about, what do you want on the label on the back? And then I asked them, well, is it okay if I put it in the center of the back? And they're like, oh, okay, sure. So I've done that a few times. It makes it so hard for them to steal it too. They can't take that label off. It ain't going nowhere. It's stuck. It's permanent. This block, guys, was so wonky. I remember putting this together with you guys. That one was one of the ones we had to do. And I really haven't gone back. I was supposed to go back and hand stitch the applique pieces in, and I haven't done that. They're machine stitched, but they're machine stitched with like a long stitch, but they are quilted in place. So they're not going anywhere. I could still applique them now that the quilt's quilted. I did that with Mr. Siberian Wind's quilt. So I had 3 applique medallions on there, and I did not have time to machine stitch them in place before I went to the long armor with it, and I was the one long arming it. I was renting the long arm. So yeah, it was one of those. At least Nightbot, I think hasn't. Okay, I haven't seen another MeWe thing from Nightbot, so maybe that change worked for a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. If Nightbot tells you guys about MeWe, let me know, because I still need to get Nightbot to fix it. Says maybe I was still using the old information that wasn't working. I'm so excited about retreat, guys. So excited. We got this weekend is Valentine. Who's doing something for Valentine's Day? What are you guys doing? Do you have romantic plans? Are you guys the couple that doesn't do anything because it's commercialized? What are you guys doing? I know of something special that's happening in town here, but I can't tell you guys until after it happens because I can't give it away to anybody. I'm on the inside scoop. It's going to be cute and adorable, and I can't wait to see or to hear how it turns out. I won't be there. I've got to be somewhere else. Mr. Siberian Wind will be there, so I'll hear about it, but I won't get to be there. Chloe says that they don't do it, that she and her husband don't do anything. That's fair. Did you realize that it's going to be Friday the 13th this Friday? Oh, that's my kind of holiday. Oh my gosh, this means it'll be, oh, how many years? Janet says that she doesn't do anything either. She and her hubby don't do anything. Well, Mr. Siberian Wind already had plans doing something else, so I'm going out and hanging out with some friends. So it's going to be a sweet night. It's going to be a sweet night. I don't know where I'm going yet. The friends get to decide. I just tag along. Cynthia says we stay home to avoid the Valentine's dating crowd. We order takeout or I cook dinner, and that's about it. You know, sometimes the small things are where it's at. Sometimes the small things are exactly where it's at. My first wedding was on February 13th. So this would have been an anniversary this Friday. Oh, fitting that it would be February 13th, right? A Friday the 13th. Oh. Then we have one in March too. Because this isn't a leap year. We have the same thing in March. Can we somehow hang something up at the retreat for a temporary design wall? Oh yeah. Yeah, I am with you on that. I like that idea. And I don't think that would be too big of a problem. They're gonna accommodate me. So yeah. I think we could do that, Nana. Yeah. Somebody send me an email to remind me to put that on my list. Please, if you will. Because that's an awesome idea. I am Valentine, not sure what yet. I'm confused. I'm confused. Let's see, good idea. Nanette says Chloe. Okay. Yeah, see, I love it too. I love that idea. We might actually need more than one design wall. Because I think one is just not going to be enough. But we've got to have that 30. So we've got to hit 30 before I can start seeing what our budget is. Because I've got to get cutting mats and all that. Hey, Linda, welcome in. My husband isn't going to be in, so I may need to find me a hot date for that night. Maybe my 2-year-old grandson with some pizza and monster truck cartoons. I love that idea, Kathy. That is a perfect Valentine's Day. Let's see. Okay, not sure. I'm a Valentine. Oh, you're not sure what you're doing for Valentine's Day. Oh, that's fair, Kat. That's fair. Let's see. If I didn't already have plans, like my plans are kind of fluid, but I already, like, my friends group already knows I'm going to be there, so like I'm kind of stuck. Oh, Nanette says that she and her hubby don't celebrate. See, I think it's so commercialized. It's so commercialized. It's very sweet. You know, Valentine's Day is very sweet, but it's very commercialized. I love Kathy's idea. That is, Chloe, you are so right. She's like, that sounds fun, Kathy. I agree. 2-year-old grandson, perfect Valentine's Day date. And he'll probably fall asleep before the movie's over, right? And you won't be mad at him. You know, if I go to a movie on Valentine's Day and my husband fell asleep, I'd be a little mad that he fell asleep during Valentine's Day at a movie. But if my date was my 2-year-old grandson, I don't think I'd be mad. I think it'd be adorable. I think it'd be hilarious. And it would be something I would absolutely hold over his head until he graduates high school. I have no idea how much fun that is for me. We'll play a fort. Oh, make a fort with quilts in the front. Oh, Kathy. Oh my gosh. Oh, good deal, Susan. I know you're super happy about that. She says she is home, so welcome home and thank you for coming into the chat. I appreciate it. The Seattle Seahawks are the Super Bowl champions. Well, congratulations to them. I can bring a fleece blanket to hang up like on my design wall. That would work. That would absolutely work. I might be able to pilfer some fleece too, maybe, depending on how much is left by September. But I know where some is. And it is not in my stash. But I might be able to borrow some too, versus buying it. But if I have to buy something, that's okay. You know, it just depends. It just depends. As you know, as soon as we get 30, then we're good. It makes it a lot easier. I'd fall asleep and won't have any idea if he's awake or not. Oh no, Kathy. He'll bring over his tractor flashlight that I got him for Christmas for lights. Oh my goodness, that's so stinking cute. So stinking cute, Kathy. Oh, I cannot wait. You are here Friday with me. I'm so excited. I gotta get stuff cut. I have not cut Friday's blocks. Oh, I need to get on that. It's in my little drawer thing now. It is so in there already. But I need to get to it. I need to do it. I got a lot of things to do this week. Winnie the Pooh flashlight that I got my children when they were, oh, that's so awesome. I didn't get anything like that. I think my parents realized that I would be a menace with like a flashlight or something else. Now, I will say, oh, you haven't cut January. Oh my gosh, you're so behind. You did January. Were you not there in January? Oh, you weren't. Yeah, you're behind. You're just a little bit behind. Make sure, Kathy, when you go to cut January, that you look at page 2, because there's cutting on page 2. And I did not realize it, and I don't think Alicia realized it either. We were sitting there talking, and I realized it, I think, right before the live. And oh my gosh, it was so funny. We were both scrambling last minute. Nanette hasn't cut this Friday's block either. Ah, there you go. Yes, you were sick and then worked the stove. I do remember that. I do. I remember that we all had to miss the first one because I wasn't going to do it solo. I wasn't going to do part of the block solo and leave you guys stranded, because then you can't put it on your channels because it's just me. So I got to have you guys in there so that you guys can have it on your channels. Yeah, that storm. That blasted storm. All right. So I showed this binding technique when you get to the end. I showed this to a lady Wednesday. Yeah, this past Wednesday. And when I showed it to her, I had her go do, a little bit of stitching, come back. And then I was like, okay, I want you to take your hands here, take your hand here, and I want you to pull. And her face just lit up when she saw what happens. We were thinking I have the big C. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, had. Please say it. Yeah, definitely say had. You do not need to be catching that again, sweetheart. No big sicknesses. No, we're not permitting those in our circles this year. None of that mess. I had a wonderful visit with my daughter over the weekend. We went to a presentation at our local library about quilts and the Underground Railroad. It was a really good presentation. That is so awesome, Susan. I saw your post on Facebook about that. That's exciting. The Underground Railroad quilt has so much history in it, and it's really hard to even get it all into like one presentation. So for her to be able to get a lot of it into one presentation, or at least enough to go over all of it, that's pretty impressive. because the Underground Railroad quilt really does have, like all of the quilts for the Underground Railroad, have so much history and so many stories to go along with them. And it's such a rich cultural, um, it's a rich cultural quilt, even more so than Dear Jane. And no, I'm not doing Dear Jane the way Lisa's doing hers, so I am way behind on Dear Jane. That may be next year. We are having that at a museum in Farmerville this month too. Oh, that's very cool, Kathy. Yeah, Underground Railroad was huge in Louisiana and Alabama and Georgia and Tennessee. Nanette wants to do an Underground Railroad quilt. Okay, all right. Y'all are talking me into it. Oh, Nanette has the book. Oh, well, fine. Be that way. No, I'm game for that. It won't be this year. It would be on next year's docket, depending on what all I have left at the end of 2026, going into 2027, as to whether or not I could pick up the Underground Railroad. I would want to do an interpretation of the Underground Railroad, which would not be the straight, let's follow everything that was in the original Underground Railroad quilts. I would do an interpretation. Just because I've got to do something outside of the box sometimes. I spoke with the lady who did it, and she'll do it for the guild here via Zoom. That's awesome. That is awesome. I know quite a few guilds that would love to have that thing. Next year would be good, says Nana. All right. So maybe next year is going to be the year of the sampler quilts. So we'll do Underground Railroad. We'll actually do my Dear Jane. I will be finishing up Santa's loading dock. I should be able to get McKenna Ryan done this year, I think. I'm trying to think. I need to get that Star Systems cutoffs done this year too. That one's a beast. It's my fault for starting something like that and not buckling down with it. So I need to get some cutting done on it so I can make some progress on it. I've got some half square triangles cut, but I don't have the squares to go with it cut. So I need to do some of that. And, maybe, well, I just need to go ahead and get all the half square triangles cut. At least all the small ones, micro ones. All the 1 1/8 inch cuts. Those super tiny ones. Yeah. All right. So, I don't know how much you guys can see this. No, you probably can't see it because the stupid light. Yeah, oh well. Susie is doing the Underground Railroad with her sister-in-law. Loads of fun. Ooh. Yeah, I've heard of people really having a good time with the Underground Railroad too. I think doing an interpretation of it, doing like bringing it modern, would be just kind of like right up my alley, because there's so much history in the Underground Railroad quilts. I feel like pulling it into a more modern representation, even while everyone else is doing the very historical versions, I think would be just kind of that like chef's kiss to it, bring an old design new. So nobody's allowed to steal my idea. It is my idea, and I will do it, but it'll be next year. And I will not forget that one because I do also have, I could pull this for next year as well. I have a start on a G's Bend quilt. Or, well, it's not really a G's Bend quilt. It's, the kit is the G's Bend quilt fabrics. So if you guys have not ever heard of or looked up G's Bend, that is another historically rich quilt story. And I started a quilt with the G's Bend quilt fabrics, and I've got to see where I'm at with it before I can really pick it back up. Several people in our local quilt guild are doing it. That's awesome, Susie. So I guess I'll be seeing those at State Fair, huh? I look forward to that. I look forward to it. I hope you guys will do. I hope you guys will visit the state fair and see that. Nanette says she'll remind me. Good deal. Good deal. Good deal. Yeah, I would have to get the book for the Underground Railroad, because if I'm going to redesign it for a modern, I need to pull the actual stories and translate them into a more modern setting. And there's a lot of things that you can do with something like that. So that's where I want to go with it. That's kind of where I want to go with it. It's very fluid in my mind as to how I want to do it. Deja vu. Oh, absolutely, Lori. We are always in deja vu territory. We are firmly in deja vu territory. Welcome back. I'm back as well. I'm back and I'm front. Does that count? I'm front and center. No, gosh, that Underground Railroad idea now. Yeah, I'm going to be thinking about that for a while. I own the Eleanor Burns Underground Railroad book and plan on buying the Moda Kansas Troubles fabric line for the quilt. My daughter really wants it. That's a good use for it. And that's a very good use for it. I personally am not super like in love with the older colors, like the Kansas Troubles colors. Like they're pretty, but I don't want to see them all the time. I've got 1 or 2 kits that I'm going to keep from what the lady gave me. And they're all kind of those same dark, moody colors. So I'm going to keep a couple of them, but for the most part, that's not my normal colors. And I don't want to regret keeping something to work on just because of the color scheme. Oh, I have ideas now. Oh, I have ideas. I have 2 quilt kits sitting back here in those little zipper plastic things. I'm not really in love with the pattern. Mr. Siberian Wind isn't super in love with it either. I could repurpose that fabric for my Underground Railroad quilts. Or Underground Railroad quilt, rather, next year. That would be perfect. And it's all flat solids. I love it. Sherry, hi. Thank you so much for saying hi. Don't forget to put the thumbs up. Thank you. Appreciate it. Susie says we got a kit from Quilts in a Day. Really like the fabrics. That's awesome. I have not looked at the kits for it yet. I think with doing the update for the modern update, I think that will rule out me pulling the original fabrics. Lori says she is pulling out a cross stitch. Her guys are all in bed now. I wish one of mine was. He's over there chewing on a bone. He is being obnoxiously loud. I don't know if you guys can hear him, but I sure as heck can. He is loud. It's better than the squeaky toy, though. I will admit that. The bone is better than the squeaky toy. I keep worrying that I am running out of bobbin because I don't know where I'm at on this bobbin. Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. Well, most of you guys were here earlier, so you already know my little spiel. We've got the Zoom retreat coming up. We've got it coming up. It's not this weekend. It is not next weekend. It is the last weekend of February. I'm so excited. 35 hours of sewing. 35 hours of chill and sewing. And then I gotta pull out Gnome Sweet Gnome to work on that night. Oh, I gotta get some planning in. I gotta get some stuff done. I got a list for this week, guys. I got a list. Who else does that to themselves? Who else does the full, like, list in their head of everything they need to accomplish? I do it in my head, and I do it on my notebook, my little planner. I do myself lists. I do myself quite a few lists. Anything I can get done tomorrow night after sewing all day at Quilts of Valor will be a bonus as well. Because, I mean, one less thing I have to worry about Tuesday. I am too tired to think about keeping track of my stitches, so I'm not doing the cross stitch I have out. There you go, Susan. Now I actually, oh, that's a stitch. I'm sitting here, there is a line right here. You guys can't see it, but I can see it. And it is a line from where I pieced this piece. So there's actually a seam right there that I'm running my finger over. And it looks like a black thread almost from this angle. It's in there, it's not coming apart. It's fine. But I panicked for a minute thinking I had this big black thread caught in my quilting stitches, and I didn't know how that happened. It's just the seam playing eye tricks on me. Oh, so what I was going to say, so the cross stitch, counted cross stitch, especially if you have a lot of counting to do with it, what I do is I have a knit counter, little red one that I got from Hobby Lobby, I think, and it's kind of like, oh, you guys wouldn't know this because this is from Baseball World. So umpires, especially lower levels, like not pro doesn't use them, but lower level umpires tend to have these little clickers so they can click if it's a ball, if it's a strike, or if it's an out, and so they can tally things up without having to wait for the scoreboard to be correct. They can just like keep this in their hand. Tom never used them, but he had them. But it kind of looks like a counter like that, but it only has one thing on it. It's only counting one set of numbers all the way up to 99. Chloe says she's just gotten into sewing this weekend. See, there you go. You needed to get back into it. You've had a lot on your plate, and it is now time to get back into it. You are treating yourself for Valentine's Day by getting back into quilting. And I didn't even think about this, how much pink is in this quilt. Oh, I'm jealous, Chloe. She says we had 10 inches of snow yesterday. I'm so jealous. We need the snow. We are super dry here, and that is not going to bode well for this summer. So we need the snow. I'd rather have it as snow than have it as rain. Maybe one of these days I will get my sewing mojo back. Absolutely, Linda. That's why I love Sew and Tell. I love Sew and Tell on the first Tuesdays of the month because it always gives me ideas. So even when I'm in a slight funk, it gives me ideas to get going. Oh, Kathy, she says that she had 80-degree temps yesterday. Ugh. No, thank you. No, thank you. That is not my, no. I am not ready for that. We do not need that temperature here right now. You can keep that. I know you don't like it either, but you can keep it. Let's see, tomorrow will be a quilting day while we watch DVDs. There you go, Susan. I will not be live tomorrow, but I will be Tuesday night. I do not have anything. How many signed up for the retreat in Casper? Right now, only 3 people have paid their deposits. So we are far cry from where we need to be. I know quite a few people are saying that they're paying at the end of February or they're paying at the beginning of March. So there's a lot of people that have not paid yet. So I don't count you as coming until you have paid at least your deposit. Kathy has her AC going on right. I would absolutely have to have it going. I cannot 80. No 80s. No. No. I will be dealing with that enough in the summer. It won't be that ridiculous here until June probably, I'm hoping. But oh no, no 80s. We're good. I will bypass that. I will absolutely bypass that. So yeah, if you are paused on signing up for the retreat and or paying for your retreat spot, you do need to start working on that. That May date that we have to get all of the registrations in by to make a decision is coming up, and if we do not have 30, then I may have to cancel the retreat. I will see what other options I have, if there's any way to avoid canceling. But 30 was the minimum to be able to host the retreat. So we got to have the signups come in. We've got to have them, guys. Kathy says that they're going to be dropping in temps again. getting Paducah paid first, and then I will start working on Casper. There you go. I like that. I like that. See, I think a lot of people are in that same boat because it's, this is my first year doing the retreat here. And so it's not already, you didn't prepay at the end of last retreat, it's not like a lot of the other established retreats where maybe you already knew a year in advance that, you were going to this retreat. So I get it. Believe me, guys, I do. I'm just saying where I'm sitting from because, I mean, we're currently in February, so we got March, 8, and April to get the tallies in before our May deadline. Just as a reminder, what is the deposit? Yes, absolutely. Deposit is $140. The total retreat cost is $275. So your balance due will be $135 if you only pay the deposit. If you are renting a machine, that is $100, and that is going to cover you for the entire time you're there. It's going to cover setup, troubleshooting if you have any issues, and takedown. So you don't have to do anything other than show up. The hotel is, you can do single or double occupancy. And in the February email that I'm going to be sending out in the next few days or so, there will be more information about the double occupancy and how we're going to do that. Because if you want to be double occupancy to save money on it, that is absolutely fine. We will work that out, and we will try to figure out who is rooming with who out of that. What does the room cost? Single or double. So the room cost is $109 per night per room. So if you get a single room, it is still $109 a night. If you get a double occupancy room, it's $109 a night. And if you can split that $109 with somebody, then you are more than welcome to do so. And that cuts your costs, and your friend gets their cost cut too. So it is entirely up to you. I was looking at the ski slopes as I was driving across the mountains. One was not running. We desperately need snow in the high mountains. Yep, so the farmers and fruit growers will have enough water. I know. I'm looking at it from a wildfire perspective. If we do not get enough snow, we will have wildfires this year, and it will not be pleasant. So I am so looking forward for some snow. All right. So I told you guys we were going to do this. So here's what I do. How many nights is the retreat? It is 4 nights. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. You can book longer if you want with the hotel. That is entirely up to you. I will not tell you not to. That is entirely up to you as to how long you want to book. You can get into the room, or you can get into the sewing room earlier on Saturday than you can check, or earlier on Wednesday than what you can check in. And you can stay later than check out in the sewing room as well. So if you want to change that, you absolutely can. But it is 4 nights, and so there's 4 dinners provided. And every night at dinner, there's going to be a special something or other. And there's also a vendor mall that will be coming in on, as of right now, Friday and Saturday. So if you want discounts at the vendor mall, you have to be a retreat attendee. You can go to the vendor mall without being a retreat attendee, but if you want discounts, you got to be a retreat attendee. Okay. So here's what you do. Here's what you do on this. I'm going to change gears for just a second. And let me zoom back in. And we're only an hour in. Golly, guys. I didn't realize I went this fast. I did not know I was Speedy Gonzalez today. Okay. All right, so here's my binding that I stitched on previously, okay? So my stitching stops here, and I've got over a hand, okay? And I just cut off a little bit of length, okay? You can cut off as little as you want. So if you want to cut off a piece that is literally that small, just literally that small, you can do that too. It just depends on how much extra you have, okay? So this is the piece that I cut off, and it has selvage on it, and that's why I didn't mind cutting extra off. So it is the width of my binding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece that I cut off, and we are going to lay it even with my binding from here, okay? So the edge of my binding and the piece that I cut off are equal, okay? And my fold and my binding, if you pressed your binding, your fold is going to be right here. So recap, 140 deposit, 275 total retreat cost. Yes, room 109 per night for single occupancy. Double occupancy will share cost. Retreat 4 nights, Wednesday through Saturday, 4 dinners included. You've got it, Kathy. You are fast on the retake. Yes, you have got it. That's awesome. Thank you. Yes, perfect, perfect. You got it. And it is sew what you want. So bring what you want to sew on. Sew what you want. If you are working on Reflections Mystery, you will get your final clue early. So you can bring Reflections and you can lay it out and work on it in person. It is a perfect opportunity. All right, so we've got our piece that we cut with the binding 9th through 13th of September. She says dates September 9th through 13th. Yep, September 9th through 13th. All right, so this is our piece of binding that we cut. It would have a fold in the middle. And we are going to take this. Hopefully one of my local quilt friends goes with me. If not, I'll probably be looking for a roomie. Perfect. That works. That works, Susie. I hear you on that. Believe me, I do. All right, so this is the extra length. This is the working length, the one that's like wrapped around my head. Okay. So this is the extra length, okay? So we just finished stitching right down here, and all I'm doing is laying this flat on top. Okay, you don't need to pull it extra tight or anything. You don't need to have it lifting up. You just need it to lay flat. Okay, now that you've got it, I'm going to pick this piece up. I'm going to pick this top binding piece up, and I'm going to pick up this piece right here with it. Okay, okay. Does everybody follow that so far? Let me know if you're following this. Yeah, there you go. Kathy says, there you go, friends. You've seen it and heard it here. We'd love to see you all there September 9th through 13th. Yes, please, 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 please. And I will do another short about it coming up soon, as well as that email that's going to be going out to everybody. All right. So I've got this pulled over. Sorry. So that piece is still stuck to my quilt, which is good. All right, now, so this piece that I'm holding, this is the loose end, okay? The loose end is the end you're going to cut off, okay? So I'm just going to come in here with my scissors, and I am going to cut even with this piece. That's all you have to do. Just cut even with this piece. So to recap what it's going to look like, you've got this piece down. Let me flatten it out a little bit. Okay, so this is your original piece. You take a cutoff piece and open it up so you have width of your binding this way. Okay, so you don't have to think about it. You don't have to measure your binding. You don't have to pull rulers in. You don't have to do all that other mess. You take your top piece of binding, lay it over, and you trim it even with the other side of your piece. So your bottom piece is even with one side, your top piece is even with the opposite side. Okay? So you're gonna take that piece out, you don't need it. You're gonna take one side of your binding, whichever side you want to, and let me zoom out just a hair. Just a hair. Okay, I think. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna take, and it doesn't matter which side you go with, okay? And mine are not pressed at all, so you're not going to see the folds. All right, so I'm going to take one piece and I'm going to fold it out this way. I'm going to fold it out right side up. Okay. The other piece I'm going to take directly from the quilt, open it up, and wrong side up, it's going to go on top. Okay. And I know this is a shocker, because how often does this happen? But I am going to pin this. I actually always pin this. Okay? So for those of you who think I don't pin anything, you have now officially seen the one thing that always gets pinned. Always, always, always gets pinned. Okay? Now, when you have this together like that, I'm going to show you the same thing that I showed her before. if you get stuck on this, you are not sewing point to point. You're going to sew corner to corner. Okay, so you've got a corner hanging out down here. You've got a corner hanging out up here. You can draw a line if you want to, but you are going to sew corner to corner, not point to point. Okay, I used to always get that part messed up. That's what took me so long to figure out what I was doing wrong. You are always sewing from a corner to a corner, not from a point to a point. Okay, now if you want to draw this, you are more than welcome. Take a ruler, put that down on your pieces, and draw yourself a line. I've got that diagonal seam tape, which works fantastic for me, so that's what I'm going to use. And then I'm going to show you what it does, which is so fantastic. I love what this does. This is always I'm always shocked that it works every time I do it. Even though I know it's going to work, I'm always shocked that it works. Always. Just because I think it's so fun that it works. And it's going to work better if I thread my machine. Who else does that? Who else unthreads their machine by accident? It's been a while since I've done that. Been a hot while. All right, let me line up my corners, not my points. You're lining up your corners because it makes a difference. All right. Nanette says, me too. You get this messed up too? I know. That point to point always makes me struggle because it's easier to see than the corner to corner is to see. But it is always corner to corner, not point to point. And once I learned that part of it and could remember that, I've not yet screwed it up since. Even pulling my fabrics out or pulling the fabric out to lay on top of each other, I still haven't screwed that up either. All right, so there's where we just sewed, okay? So we sewed corner to corner, okay? So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flatten the quilt out. And look at that. So my quilt is flattened out, and aside from the extra fabric in there, that is completely flat and it's exactly the way I need it to be. So now I can go in and I can trim that extra off, and I just do it with scissors. You can go set with a rotary cutter and a ruler if you just need to be exact. All of my other seams in this binding are straight seams. This is the only one that will be a diagonal, just because that's the way I pieced it all together. But it won't make that big of a difference. But that's the only way you'll be able to tell exactly where I stopped and started, is because there will be a diagonal seam versus a straight seam. That is literally the only difference. And then I can just start where I left off. And I do press that seam open. I just finger press it open, because it won't matter in the grand scheme of things. It just won't really matter. But if it matters to you, then make sure to go to the iron and press it open. But it'll get stitched down by the machine later, so it works perfectly. Now, if you are working with bias and you do this, I do recommend that you pull your binding a little tight, kind of at that end point, because it will give you even an even flatter look to your binding. So if you don't pull bias a little bit, it will not be super flat. On flat binding, I don't recommend you pull it at all, because you will run into the possible problem of it just doesn't line up, because that is likely going to happen. Okay. We have successfully put binding on the front of the quilt, guys. So I'm going to turn that camera off because we don't need it for anything. So what I think I'm going to do is I am just going to start clipping this to the back, unless you guys have something you want me to do instead. Do you guys have something you want me to do or work on? because if not, clipping this to the back is fantastically perfect. And I have a little bit of jelly roll strip left over. This is going to go into, or not jelly roll, it's 2 1/4. This is going to go into my strip box if I have room in it. I barely have room. So it's in my strip box now, and I have little pieces that are going to go up into those bins later. Y'all are so quiet tonight. Is it all the post? I forgot to look for the sunflowers too. Oh my gosh, guys. Clipping is good. Sounds good to me. Good deal. Good deal. I almost want to put my feet up. Well, you know what? As long as the quilt's covering it, I'll put my feet up. That way you guys can see more of the quilts. That works for me. And we'll even move the microphone closer. There we go. So, tell me about your most favorite quilt you've ever made. Or tell me about the most favorite quilt that has ever been gifted to you. I want to know what you guys think, like what makes the quilt special to you? What is so important to you about your favorite quilts? Because I think I know which mine would be. Oh, Kathy says her first quilt. So tell us about your first quilt, Kathy. Tell us some details about your first quilts. I could do a whole series on first quilts. Hey, Laura, welcome in. Welcome, welcome. We are clipping the quilt binding. It was the quilt I made my granddaughter. Oh, that does make it special. That does make it very special. Now, was it fabrics she picked or was it fabrics you picked? What was your process for that quilt? Oh, I've got these clips right next to the microphone. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't realize I had it that close. Did not realize that. I only have 3 of these quilts to do. I need to pull another jar down. This jar is not full at all, and I think the clips are in one of my project boxes because I'm using them for a project. It was a jelly roll quilt, and I had no idea what a jelly roll was. She was still in the womb. Oh, that's awesome, Kathy. That's a good one to cut your teeth on, though. A jelly roll race, was it a jelly roll race? Because a jelly roll race, that's a really good one to cut your teeth on, especially if you are new to quilting or new to sewing. That's a very good quilt to get going with. That was actually my son's first quilt, was a jelly roll race. When I found out I was having a granddaughter, I realized there was no one to make a quilt for her, so that is how this journey began. Yeah, you know, that works. That works. That's actually kind of, well, my story's a little bit different than that for my first quilt. Nanette says her first quilt she made for her mom in 1999, a double Irish chain pattern by Eleanor Burns. I picked the materials and birthed the quilt. Oh, you did that kind of quilt too for your first one. Oh, yeah. Oh, Kathy says it was not that easy. It was a herringbone. Oh my gosh. You overachiever, you. That's crazy. That's crazy for a first quilt. My first one that I remember doing that was actually me, just me, was my quilt for my son. My first quilt that I made him. And it was because daycare needed a blanket, and I didn't like the blankets that I found at Walmart. And I wanted him to have something a little bit nicer. And so I decided I would make him a quilt, and I did the pillowcase birthing method on that quilt. And oh, it needs some TLC. My favorite quilt to make was my New York Beauty. It tested my skills and built them. Playing with colors, fabrics, placement was so much fun. It is fun, Susan. It absolutely is. You know, would you guys want me to do a New York Beauty? Would you guys sew along with the New York Beauty? My favorite quilt is my green apple quilt because I designed with the encouragement from Di from Sister Chicks Quilting. It was inspired by Tracy from the Sewing Channel's Strawberry Quilt. I love that. That's a cute story too. I love that. Kathy says that she thinks it was called the Speedwell from the 2-from-1 Jelly Roll quilt. Okay. Well, my first quilt was not a pattern quilt. I just cut squares and sewed them together, and then I pillowcased it, and yeah. My mom's was a queen size that I tied and hand stitched a label on the back. That makes it so worth it, Nanette. That absolutely makes it worth it. I have never tied a quilt since I was out of high school. I participated in a project with the other GAs, like Girls in Action program that I was in, and we sewed a quilt, and the front side and the back side were basically the same thing. It was just 4 giant squares of fabric. I mean, if this quilt were 4 squares of fabric, that's what it was. That's what it was on front and back. And so I don't remember if we sat at the sewing machine. I don't think we did. But after we had the 4 squares of fabric sewn together, we layered it and then we tied it. And there was not enough ties in that quilt. I do not know if it survived even past the first washing. It was horrid. I even used the double folded bias binding because I had no idea that I could make my own binding. Aw, I love you, Kathy. I remember those days. I remember those days. Oh, those are so much fun. So I think my favorite, let's see, Susie says, favorite quilt she started years ago, was overwhelmed. My mom said she would work on it. Found it while staying with her in hospice. Oh my gosh. Is it now finished, Susie? Is that quilt now finished? I had a quilt that I bit off more than I could chew on as like a second or third quilt. It was crazy. Luckily I had garment sewing background and knew how to follow a pattern, but I had no idea of all the slang for quilting. Yeah. There's so much slang. We have so many words that are not words. We have the words that are not words everywhere here. So many of them. I think my favorite quilt of all is that one that I finished, the Tumbling Blocks quilt, just because it's sentimental to me. I finished it, but she didn't get to see it, but I treasure it. See, there you go. There you go. Because she held on to it for you for a while, which is, that's sentimental too. My favorite quilt, the one that I was wrapped up in it, was that last Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday. I was wrapped up in the Tumbling Block quilt, and my friend had cut all of those pieces out, and she decided she didn't really like Y seams and wasn't willing to finish it. But the colors, she and I spoke on the same wavelength for a lot of things. But the colors were absolutely my colors as well as hers. And she is now passed away, but I never got to finish it while she was alive. And I can't see it without thinking of her. It was so funny. I didn't know what a fat quarter or a fat eighth was. I had no idea of any of it. I bet you didn't. I bet you didn't, Kathy. My first quilt, Susan says, was simply sewing 3.5-inch squares together and sewing a border. I layered, hand quilted it, and it was for the baby I was pregnant with. Now that's sweet. Babies are a very good reason that we start quilting, aren't they? They are so important. That's the whole reason that a lot of us get into quilting. I was in the garment sewing world. I did not know the whole quilting world existed. My first ex-husband saw a pattern in a magazine, and of course, was he going to buy the fabric for me from there? No. He wanted to change the fabrics, but he also didn't buy the pattern either. So I was having to reverse engineer a pattern for my second quilt, guys. Second. I think. Second or third, but it is like early quilt, guys. I was reverse engineering a pattern. I could easily reverse engineer it today if I still had a picture of it, and I might somewhere, but that was a beast of a quilt, and I just did not know what I was doing. And I kind of find it funny that, you know, he wants me to do something beyond my skill level and refuses to buy me the supplies that I need. And then, of course, I never finish it, and he gets mad at me for never finishing it. Oh well. Lori says that her favorite is Warmth of Our Stars by Scott Flannery. Is her first fully finished big girl quilt. It is in blues and silver Christmas fabric. I love it. Laura Lynn did the quilting. That is so special, Lori. That is, oh, sounds gorgeous. Have you submitted that for Show and Tell? I don't think you have. You know you can, right? Just saying. Just saying. I would love to see that in Show and Tell. I would love you all to share your first quilts for Show and Tell. If you're watching this on the replay, share your first quilt for Show and Tell. I would love to see it. You guys asked me on Tuesday to start sharing my quilts with you as well in the Show and Tell slideshows. So I will start sharing my quilts with you guys too. I don't think anybody's name comes after mine because I think S is the last initial that we've got so far right now. So mine will probably be the last ones in the slideshow. I won't win the quilt, guys. I won't win the Show and Tell giveaway quilt, I promise. But I will start sharing with you guys some pictures of my original first quilts. Not yet. I have to dig it out. It is white, and I have a dog. Word. Absolute word to that. Yes. So the quilt that I need to finish and get on our bed, it's going to take a bit to quilt it. And I'm not, it's going to barely fit on the frame. Like it's huge, guys. It's huge. It's 101 inches. I have 108 inches of working space. It is big. It is big. And so, I mean, I can put more than 108 inches on the frame. I just can't quilt more than 108 inches. But star systems, and there's a lot of white in that. There's white, gray, and black in it. And my dog is anything but white, gray, or black. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit fun to have that on the bed. And I also need to have a bigger washer because it needs to be washed every so often. So, or it will need to be, I'll put it that way. So here's one thing I'm going to point out while I'm doing this. If you are clipping your binding to like clip it in place so you can either hand sew it or machine sew it. Of course, I'm machine sewing. I always go to the corners before I go everywhere else. So I go to the corner, and I've got a lot of room here that doesn't have a clip, but that's okay. I go and fold the corners and clip those first. I also make sure that the fold on the back is facing the opposite direction than the fold on the front. So if there's a bulk of fabric on this corner, the bulk of the fabric is going this way. So the bulk of the fabric on the back is now going this way. Does that make sense? I don't want the bulk in the same spot on both the front and the back. And that means that I'm going to have a flatter corner and it's not going to stick up. And it's also not going to attract attention and be pulled against. My first one says, Susan can't be shared by me. It lives in New York with that baby who's now grown up. It went to college with her, so to seminary and to the places she has lived since. That's awesome. Well, you can always ask her to take a picture of it. You can always ask her and see if she's willing to. And then you can say shared by permission, because that is absolutely a good case too. And it's a good case. I love sitting underneath the quilts while I do this. This is my first chance to get to love on them. After they're quilted, I get to love on the quilts when I am clipping this binding in place. And it feels so rewarding. Like it feels like I'm so close to being done. It's comfy. Laura says, sorry, apparently we have someone going through our neighborhood, ringing doorbells and running away. It took us a bit to get all the dogs calmed down. Oh my gosh, Laura, I bet.
We actually got complained about our dog today. Um, because our door got knocked on, and of course he went to barking, and he barks at skateboards and he barks at the door, and they were complaining about the dog barking, but he only barked once today. I don't even know if I have a picture of my granddaughter's quilt. Ooh, you might have to ask her for a picture or to bring it and so you can take a picture. That would be cool, or have her parents take a picture of it. I don't even know if I have a picture of my granddaughter's quilt. Oh, where am I at? They are doing a ding and dash, yeah. Ding dong ditch is what we call it. We had kids doing that here, and one of the kids got shot. Oh, yeah, I do remember hearing that story. It's not as safe as it used to be. I mean, used to be, everybody kind of understood, but, now we've got, veterans with PTSD going untreated because of the VA, and we got, people that are, get off my property people, which, they're allowed to be. Getting upset by it, yeah. It's just crazy. Just crazy, crazy, craziness. It is possibly in storage. Oh no. That's why I enjoy binding. It's the final part of the project. Well, the final part for me is labeling. And believe me, I struggle with that part. Because by the time I'm done with this, I don't want to label it. I'm ready to be done. But this one is going to be for sale. The other two that I bound are not, because I'm using them as teaching samples. But this one will be for sale. Oh good, Nanette says she'll get a picture of her mom's quilt and post it. Good, good, good. Yeah, Ding Dong Ditch. The kid that got shot was my children's cousin on their dad's side. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. That's so crazy. So very crazy. But yeah, this one will be for sale. I do not need the sampler quilt in my stash. So it's got browns, beige, cream, pink, purple, burgundy. It's got kind of like, it's almost, early 2000s colors, because that's when I started it. Is 2011. And I really didn't know what I was doing, but I figured something out. My daughter said if she can find it, she'll take a picture and text it to me. That's very awesome, Susan. Good deal. I say that a lot, don't I? I'm sorry. I'm the good deal quilter, right? Is that what I am now? So I'm the good deal quilter. Oh, I'm catching myself saying stuff like that. You guys are awesome. I will see if I have a copy of the photo though, because I know I shared it a couple of times. Okay, good deal. I just said it. I just said it again. Oh my goodness. The worst part was it took us about 30 minutes to calm the dogs because there were fireworks in celebration of the game, and then the doorbell. Oh, I would have been so mad, Laura. Oh, I'd have been mad. My patience level would be of off the charts. Absolutely off the charts. So all I'm doing is I'm clipping these. So I am looking at the back side, and I'm pulling the binding to the back. So in case you guys are wondering how I'm doing this without like sitting here staring at it, is I'm pulling it to the back, and I can kind of feel, just because of how much I'm doing it, but I can feel that front side lock into the binding, and I double check every last one as I go. I just at least glance at it, but I feel for that front lip, the curved side lip, the colorful lip. I feel for that to be locked into the edge of that binding, and then I check to make sure that the back side is completely covering. I bet you are, Laura. She says she is still fuming about it. I bet. I need to find a picture of those sunflowers, though. I so need to find a picture of those sunflowers and share it with you guys. We were talking about plants on the live earlier, and I have previously raised, grown, whatever, cultivated, right? Cultivated chocolate cherry sunflowers, and I absolutely love and adore them. And we were talking about those and other plants earlier. If anybody's wondering, if you've not seen over at Rita's channel, Crystal Dragon, Rita, if you've not seen over at her channel, she did post a picture or a video of her with the aloe vera with it blooming, because I had mentioned that I'd never seen the aloe vera bloom, and so she posted that video, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I did go over and check that out real quick. I had time, so I had to check it out. I had time. I did get the little, I don't know if you guys remember, Lady made a needle point that is purple and blue and sparkly and such. I did get that framed. It's not framed the way I want it framed, but it's framed so it's protected. So I can sit here right now and I'm seeing that picture, or seeing that needle point. And I count it so specially. So I do have, I think, no, well, I'll wait to say that until I know for sure. I think I have something with a name on it, like labels made by so-and-so, and it's got a specific name on it. If I do, I will give those away in April. So that'll be part of the giveaways as well. It'll be given away to somebody who has the appropriate name. We had volunteer sunflowers in the front yard when I was newly divorced. We all love them. I love sunflowers. I really do. Because I plant them. I plant them. I can't have them in the house. I can't have any flowers in the house. All my plants in the house have to be non-flowering. I do love to have plants in the house. I just can't have flowers in the house. Especially not any cut flowers, because they start dropping the pollen and my migraines go off the charts with them. But I've got to find a picture of those chocolate cherries. I need to find a picture because they're so pretty. So pretty. Okay, I'm out of clips in that jar. I got to grab another jar. And I'm only done with 1.5 side, or 1 3/4 of a side. But that jar wasn't full. This one is. Oh. So during retreat, I'm going to probably work on the Sew and Tell giveaway quilt. So get some progress made on that, if not get it completely ready to be quilted. And then I'm also going to work on temperature reins. How many of you have signed up for the retreat for February? How many of you are coming to hang out with me? This is kind of what we do during retreat. Is I hang out and I let you guys talk. You all got quiet though. You all got super quiet. I bring my geraniums in every year. I had 1 flower day. That's awesome. Nanette says she has signed up. Good deal. Here I am going good deal again. Chloe signed up. Good. Yay. I need to figure out what I'm going to say instead of good deal. if I'm going to aggravate myself by saying it. Cynthia has signed up. Oh, guys, I'm so excited. You know how little sleep I get. Yes, Lori, yes. Zoom retreat. So there is a link in the chat. Nightbot has put it in there. It says make sure to register for the next Zoom retreat. It's February 28th through March 1st. Absolutely, Chloe. She is getting ready for bed. Good night. Go pet some fabric if you haven't already. So there is a link in the chat. You may have to scroll up a little bit. And it is for... Rena says she's lurking, but she signed up. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you. Linda's here. She's good evening. I was getting my paperwork ready for tomorrow, and now I can take a break. What colors were the flowers on Rita's aloe? Red, I believe. Red or orangey. She says mine were yellow and white bells. I grew sunflowers last year. I love sunflowers. So the Zoom retreat link is in the chat, and Nightbot will bring it back up before we get off for the night. So it'll be back through if you haven't seen it. The retreat is Zoom. It's by Zoom, so you can do it from the comfort of your home. You just have to have an internet connection of some sort. You can use your cell phone. Some people do that. Some people use their tablets. Some people use a computer or a laptop, whatever you want to use. Just need a camera and a microphone if you want to be seen or heard. You can come in and just chat in the chat. You don't have to necessarily use your camera or your microphone. Susan is signed up. Awesome. I can't wait. And Zoom retreats are completely free. You do not pay anything for the Zoom retreat. It is completely free of charge. It is so that we can hang out, we can quilt, we can get stuff done, and it is 35 hours. So 6 a.m. Saturday morning all the way through 7 p.m. Sunday evening, Mountain Time Zone. So that's 8 a.m. Eastern through 9 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. And so you can stay up all night, you can get up early on Sunday morning, whatever you need to do. All right. Linda is asking, saying hello to Laura. How are you feeling these days? I'm tired, but that's work is busy. Yeah. Work will exhaust you. That is normal. What in the heck? I just heard something. Maybe Mr. Siberian Wind's doing something? I don't know. It's a weird noise. Hey, Lori is in. I'm looking forward to meeting you in virtual reality. That will be awesome. Fantastic. Amazing. So you'll get to learn everybody by how they sound, how they talk in real life. And you can come and go as you please. You don't have to hang out the whole time. You come in, hang out for as long as you can, leave when you need to, come back later, whatever you need. Whatever you need, it works. I don't know what he's doing. I'm hearing noises. I'm hearing noises, guys. I think he's got his something not turned on to his headset, maybe. He never does that. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. He is almost always so quiet, and he hasn't been. Ah, that's right. You were the last one. That's right. Lori says she enjoyed the last one. Yeah. So one retreat, lady decided to stay up, and I went to get back up. It was one of our early retreats before we had a growing population on the retreat screen, and she fell asleep. I came in and I kept my microphone on mute so I wouldn't disturb her. And I played music and just watched her sleep and watched the sunrise because it was coming through her window. Linda says she's trying to get over bronchitis, but she's at the tail end of it now. That's good to hear. Good to hear. I want you to be at the tail end of any illness like that. I've never been to a Zoom retreat or any Zoom. Not sure how that works. I don't have camera on my computer. That is perfectly fine if you don't. You can use it from your phone or your tablet if you want to be able to show us what's going on in your space as well. So the way that it will work is I send out an email, and I usually send it out Friday night. I wait until Friday night because there's always a chance that somebody else might sign up during Friday night. So I wait until Friday night to send out the email, and it will have a link in it, and it will have a password. When you click that link, it will take you to the Zoom app. If you don't have the Zoom app installed on your tablet or phone or whatever device you're going to use, it will link you to where you can download that. And it's not, you don't pay anything for it. There's no charge for it on your end. And so you click that, and then it will ask you for the meeting ID if the link didn't complete for whatever reason, and you'll have that in the email. And it will ask you for the password. So you'll just type in the password, and it's always like 6 numbers or something. That's just kind of like the standard with Zoom. And once you are in the Zoom retreat, you can, if you've got a camera on your device that you're using, you can show us what's going on your end. As long as you have a microphone, you can talk to us, even if you can't turn a camera on because you don't have one. You can also just hang out in the chat. So some of the quilters will look at the chat and see it, and some don't. So just be aware that even though we have a chat feature and we can use chat, and people will use it to say, hey, I'm headed to bed, or I've got to head out for a few hours, I'll be back. It's not something that I necessarily will say that everybody checks. So just keep that in mind. Now, the last retreat that we had was our biggest yet. So the Zoom retreats are growing. But what I do is I will break up the rooms. So I will create different rooms. I think we did a food talk room last time. And then, of course, as soon as I put people in the food talk room, they stop talking about food. But I will create different rooms, and I'll just bump you to a room. If you know which room you want to be in, you can request it. Like if you have somebody in there that you want to see, well, I'll put you in that room. You can always leave and come back into different rooms as you want. If you are comfortable using Zoom, if you're not, I can always put you in a room. So just drop me a line when I'm in there, or just say, hey, I can you move me to a different room? Like I want to have a different conversation. Or this room's getting too noisy, or I want to talk about quilting versus talking about what's going on in my life, and it's just whatever. It is very laid back. So if you want to sign up, Linda, and if you need help, that is fine. There's always people in the Zoom retreats that can help you navigate as well. And so then I also check my email throughout the entire Zoom retreat. So if you have something come up and you need to email me, you can email me, and I pay attention to that, and I can help answer your questions and walk you through, because that's what I do. We are all about it. We are all about it. I think it was so weird when we started that food talk room, and then because we had too many people on one screen, I started booting people out. So we were booting to rooms, and then I would room hop. So I'd stay in a room for about 30 minutes, maybe an hour, at tops. I think I was only in there for 15 minutes at a time for a while. But as soon as I created that food talk room, and all the people that were talking about food, I put all of them in that same room, and I popped into the room to check on them. Nobody was talking food. Like food was the last thing from everybody's mind. So coming up in future retreats, if we keep going gangbusters and having very full rooms, I will enlist help from people who want to be moderators and don't mind hanging out long term in specific rooms when we have to do the breakout rooms. And that way I don't necessarily have to jump and hop around all the time. I can just hang out in the lobby and push people where they need to go, because I will always be in there to greet you. Aside from when I'm asleep, for the few hours I'm asleep, I am usually there to greet everybody. I love the Zoom retreats. I love them. I think we only had to use the rooms for a few hours on Saturday, and then maybe like an hour and a half or two on Sunday. It wasn't that bad at all. And that's when, people had to leave for one reason or another. Something like that. Susan was there. Do you remember? Do you remember how much we used the pop-out rooms? The breakout rooms? Because it wasn't forever. It wasn't the whole retreat for sure. And I don't know how many people are signed up, so I don't know. I don't know what we're looking at for this retreat yet. I haven't been looking at signups. I will look later, but I haven't been looking. The chat got so quiet. Y'all are all listening to me ramble. I know me clipping binding on a quilt is boring. I really need to have like a camera right here showing you guys what I'm doing. So you're not just hearing me dig into the clips every so often. Or every regularly often. Because that's what it is. Susan says she thinks that the breakout rooms were not on Sunday. Okay, that's fair. That's probably right. That's probably right. I couldn't remember for sure. And I don't record them. I was going to record for a while, but I realized it was just going to take too much on my computer to record that. So I think that's why I stopped trying to record. I completely forgot Zoom had a record option until Andrea brought it up the other day. I've got to do recording on the tech bulletin one that we're doing on not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow. I've got to get that set up this week as well. With all the people who've said they are interested. Because I've been making a list and checking it twice. I'm not Santa Claus. I'm Santa's wife. That just sounded so crazy. Am I Santa Claus's wife? I don't know. I give you guys gifts, but it's usually not on Christmas. Christmas only comes once a year. All right, let me make sure I did this corner right. If you are clipping your binding and you clip that corner, the nice thing is you can always go in and nudge it a little bit until it's as pretty as you want and clip it exactly where you want it to stay. And make sure you don't remove the clip until you absolutely have to when you're stitching it down. I might still have enough clips without having to. I wonder if I've got one container or two left of clips. I'm thinking about those other two quilts because one of them's not that big, but the other one's huge. Oh, you're so welcome, Laura. I love being able to give you guys stuff. I do. You guys are keeping me in the craft world. You guys are supporting me by watching my channel. Thankfully, putting up with ads if you don't have YouTube Premium. And you guys inspire me. So I like being able to reward you for that. That is absolutely awesome. I love it. I've got to work on that Sew and Tell giveaway quilt though. I've got to work on that. And I've got to prep my fat quarters for the fat quarter 9-patch project. So if you guys have not turned your notifications on, if you are wanting a beginner friendly quilt, like super friendly quilt, you don't have to think about this. It's beginner friendly quilt. That is coming up this Saturday, 12 p.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. my time. Had to think about that for a minute. The person who requested it is Central Time, and that was the time that they needed. So noon Central Time, 11 a.m. my time, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, is the Fat Quarter Friendly project, and it's free. So you don't have to spend anything. You're going to get the pattern sheet for free, the download sheet. And you will need, if you're going to make a full-size quilt, which is what I'm making, you will need 25 fat quarters. So 25 fat quarters. I'm going to have to prep some of my fabric because I need to be able to get all of this information put into form in a matter of 2 hours. And then we'll follow up on the 21st with a quilt time as well. Also 12 p.m. 11 a.m. my time, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. And it's also going to be about 2 hours. and I'm going to show you guys how I layered my quilt. If you're not using a quilt frame, if you're not using a long arm, like you're gonna do this yourself, I'm gonna show you all the tools and tricks that I use to layer and baste a quilt so that you can do this at home. And I will quilt it using, drumroll, I'm gonna use Ricky. I found the quilt photo on my Facebook. Woo! I'll send it soon. Nice, Kathy. I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see. Make sure to put show and tell so that I can share it. um, but we are going to quilt a full-size quilt on Ricky. So some of it will be pre-recorded. The last bit of it won't be. And I believe I put all of the information about how much you would need for your binding as well on there. I don't remember if I did or not, but I think I did. So if you have not bought your fat quarters, please no judgment. I had no idea what I was doing. There will not be any judgment in my circle, Kathy. No, absolutely no judgment. No judgment. You guys are allowed to judge me. That is it. That is it. I do not judge any of you, and I won't let you judge each other. So no judgment at all. I agree. You guys are happily allowed to judge me because I put it out there wanting you guys to. But I will never judge you because when you do a project, especially your first project, the worst thing that somebody can tell you is that it looks horrid or that it's ugly or that they don't like it. Well, that's fine. You can think it's horrid, ugly, and you don't like it, but don't ever yuck somebody else's yum, especially first quilt. I mean, seriously. Absolutely, Kathy. She says she is headed to bed soon, so she'll catch us all later. Make sure you go pet some fabric if you haven't already, please. Please, ma'am, and thank you. So, where is it going? So the Fat Quarter Friendly project, it will make a full-size quilt with 25 fat quarters. And the beautiful thing, the absolutely beautiful, glorious thing is, yes, there's some seams to match, but I'm going to teach you how to do it. So if you have a beginner quilter that you can help them quilt, you can help them cut or whatever, then yeah, this is good for them. Absolutely, Susan, she's going to get off. She's really tired, need to go to bed. Absolutely, Susan, have a great evening. Go pet some fabric. And I will be done just in time to tell everybody else good night in just over 10 minutes. Just around 10 minutes. We are almost to the end of clipping this. So in 2 hours, I have sewn this binding to the back or to the front and clipped it to the back. So that's not a horrible amount of time to turn around. And I didn't have to go a whole lot of places to do any of it. I could do it all from the comfort of this chair. And I didn't have to go pull the rotary cutter out, didn't have to go pull rulers out, didn't have to do anything fancy. The only thing I had to do in preparation was trim the quilts, and I had to cut my binding and pre-sew the strips together. That's all that had to be done, is everything was pre-sewn. And I didn't even press everything. This binding is not pressed. So, yeah. There we go. There's the Nightbot for that February retreat. Nightbot's forgetting a lot of things. But yeah, I've got to put some stuff on my thing, stuff on my calendar for this week to get done. I can't get behind. Cannot get behind. I am way behind already. Can't get further behind. When am I not behind, right? I'm always behind. I might be back and I might be front, but I'm always behind as well. There's your next joke. There's your next mom joke. It's not a dad joke. It's a mom joke. It's a dad joke on steroids. Yes. I get a little weird when I get tired, guys. And I got one more clip to put in, and this quilt is clipped into place. All right. So she is all clipped into place, and the binding kind of blends in with the border fabric. So you may not be able to see it really and truly, but it will definitely blend in with the back because it's the same fabric. So this one is ready. So all I'll have to do is load my machine with pink thread, which I do already have hanging out behind me. And then I can put it through the machine and get it done. And that quilt will be ready to be sold in July. If I don't sell them sooner, we're going to do Christmas in July. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me. If you have any questions, if you're following this and you catch this after the fact, you're on replay, make sure to give me a comment. Let me know about your first quilt. I would love to hear about your first quilt or your favorite quilt, whether you made it or whether it was gifted to you, whatever that may be. I would love to hear about it. If you are looking to sign up for a retreat, whether that's the September retreat coming up in Casper, Wyoming, it's in person, and we were talking about the details of that earlier tonight, or if it is the Zoom retreat coming up February 28th through March 1st, just drop me an email. You are more than welcome to do so, or just put a comment in the chat or put a comment on the video. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. I greatly appreciate every last one of you when you do that. It really pushes my channel out there on the YouTube platform and into the YouTube void of videos. So I appreciate every last one of you for doing that. And if you have not petted some fabric today, go pet some fabric. Go put some needle and thread to fabric. Go get that serotonin boost, that dopamine hit. You need it. Monday starts tomorrow morning and it runs all week. So I will be back Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Time for our Tuesday edition, and I will see you then. Until then, be safe, be warm, be happy, and bye.